Hi everyone, and welcome to lesson 5 of the AstroSG astrology course for the WFYT, the World Federation of Young Theosophists. In our previous lessons, we explored the zodiac signs and the zodiacal axis. We saw the sign describing qualities of energy and states of consciousness. If you missed our previous lessons, you can watch it on our YouTube channel. Today, we introduce another fundamental component of the astrology, the houses. The 12 houses represent 12 fundamental fields of human experience. They show the areas of life through which we learn, develop, and express our potential. Together, they form a symbolic map of the human journey. The houses divide the birth chart into 12 sectors. Each sector corresponds to a specific area of life. The houses depend on the exact time of and place of birth. The houses personalize the chart. They show where experiences unfold and where different dimensions of life become especially important. The zodiac signs form a universal cycle of 12 archetypal energies. No matter where or when we are born, Aries will always follow Pisces, Taurus will always follow Aries, and so on. The houses introduce a personal dimension into this universal structure. They are calculated from the exact time and place of birth and describe how the universal energies of the zodiac become expressed in the life of a particular individual. The journey begins with the ascendant. The ascendant is the zodiacal degree rising on the eastern horizon at the moment of birth. The sign containing that degree becomes the ascendant sign. It marks the starting or the cusp of the first house and influences the placement of all the other house cusps, acting as the starting point of the entire house system. Because the sign ascendant changes approximately every 2 hours, it creates a unique arrangement of houses for each individual. In this way, the ascendant personalizes the chart and determines how the zodiacal energies are distributed through the various fields of life. The houses, therefore, describe a symbolic journey of consciousness, beginning with the emergence of the self and gradually expanding toward relationships, society, and spiritual understanding. The basic structure of a birth chart consists of a circle, a symbol of wholeness and the cyclical nature of life. This circle is divided by a horizontal axis and a vertical axis, creating four quadrants. These quadrants can be understood as the four major stages of human development. The first quadrant focuses on the development of the individual self. The second quadrant builds emotional and practical foundations. The third quadrant expands consciousness through relationships and society. The fourth quadrant seeks contribution, wisdom, and spiritual integration. Together, they describe a complete cycle of human growth and evolution. But before moving forward with the exploration of the houses, we need to understand how houses are represented and calculated in a birth chart. Through the history of astrology, different house systems have been developed to divide the sky into 12 houses. Some of the most widely used systems are Placidus, Cock, all signs and houses, equal houses, Regiomontanus, and many more. Each system uses a different mathematical method to divide the celestial sphere. As a result, planets may sometimes appear in different houses depending on the system being used. For this course, we will primarily use the Placidus house system, which is one of the most widely used systems in modern West astrology. But why are houses in different sizes? Unlike zodiac signs, which always occupy 30 degrees each, houses do not necessarily have the same size. In Placidus, houses are calculated according to the apparent movement of the sky relative to the Earth's rotation. Because of these, Some houses may become very large, while others become smaller, especially for birds at higher latitudes. This is completely normal. The varying size of the houses reflect the relationship between the place of birth and the movement of the celestial sphere at a specific moment. For this reason, a birth chart may contain houses of very different sizes while still maintaining the same 12-fold structure. We need to know that no house system is universally accepted as the only one correct. Different astrologers use different approaches. The most important thing is to understand the symbolic meaning of the houses before comparing technical systems. House systems are tools, and the purpose of astrology remains the same, understanding the patterns of human experience and consciousness. The basic structure, the sequence of the houses symbolically mirrors the natural sequence of the zodiac. The first house is naturally associated with Aries, the second house with Taurus, the third house with Gemini, and so on through the 12 signs. However, because the ascendant can fall in any sign, the actual sign occupying each house cusp may differ from this natural sequence. In the houses from 1 to 3, they represent the development of the individual. So the first quadrant represents the birth of individual consciousness. The first house is naturally associated with Aries and answers the question, who am I? As we explored in Lesson 2, Aries is a cardinal fire sign. It represents initiative, action, and the emergence of individual consciousness. More broadly, each sign expresses a unique combination of element and quality. These underlying energies help us understand not only the sign themselves, but also the natural symbolism of the houses associated with them. If you have not yet watched Lesson 2, I encourage you to do so, as understanding the elements and qualities can greatly enrich your interpretation of both the houses and the signs. The first house represents identity, self-expression, and our instinctive approach to life. The sign containing the ascendant degree, known as the ascendant sign, colors the way this identity is expressed. For example, a Pisces ascendant may approach life through intuition, sensitivity, and adaptability. A Capricorn ascendant may approach life through structure, caution, and responsibility. Although the field of experience remains the same, the style through which it is experienced changes according to the sign occupying the cusp. Once consciousness begins to recognize itself, a second question emerges. What do I possess and value? This is the domain of the second house, naturally associated with Taurus. It concerns resources, material values, and self-worth. For example, if Aries occupies the second house, the individual may develop self-worth through independence, initiative, and personal achievement, and may prefer to manage resources in an autonomous and proactive way. If Libra occupies the second house, self-worth and material value may be connected with relationships, beauty, and cooperation and harmony. The third house, naturally associated with Gemini, answers the question, how do I learn and communicate? It governs communication, learning, and interaction with the immediate environment. A third house in Cancer may communicate through emotions and personal connection. A third house in Aquarius may communicate through ideas, innovation, and broader social perspectives. Together, these houses describe the gradual formation of the individual self. Having developed a sense of identity, consciousness now seeks roots, expression, and refinement. The fourth house is naturally associated with Cancer and answers the question, where do I belong? It represents our roots, family, emotional foundation, and inner world. Here, we develop our sense of security and connection. The sign occupying the cusp of the fourth house influences the way we experience home and emotional security and our family's relationships. For example, a Taurus fourth house may seek stability, comfort, and continuity within the family environment. A Scorpio fourth house may experience home and family life as a source of deep emotional and transformation and intensity. From these foundations emerges the fifth house, naturally associated with Leo. It asks, how can I express who I am? This house governs creativity, joy, self expression, children, and the desire to share our unique gifts with the world. A Leo fifth house may express itself dramatically and confidently through creative activities, or an Aquarius fifth house may seek innovation, and unconventional forms of self-expression. The sixth house, naturally associated with Virgo, introduces another important stage of development. It asks, how can I improve and refine myself? This house relates to work, service, discipline, health, and daily routines. A Virgo sixth house may emphasize organization, efficiency, and attention to details. A Pisces sixth house may approach service through compassion, intuition, and flexibility. Together, these three houses transform identity into a stable, creative, and productive personality. The third quadrant marks an important turning point. Up to this stage, the focus has been primarily on personal development. The seventh house is located directly opposite to the first house. For this reason, it represents the encounter with qualities that are not immediately identified as part of ourselves. Through relationships, we often encounter aspects of ourselves reflected in other people. Now, consciousness begins to expand through encounters with others and with a wider world. The seventh house is naturally associated with Libra and asks, how do I relate to others? It governs partnerships, relationships, and the search for balance through interaction with other people. An Aries seventh house may attract dynamic, independent, and assertive partners. However, the seventh house does not describe only the qualities we may seek or encounter in others. It also reflects the way we approach partnerships and experience relationships. A Libra seventh house may place greater emphasis on harmony, cooperation, and mutual understanding. The eighth house is naturally associated with Scorpio and asks, how do I transform through relationship? This house governs intimacy, shared resources, psychological growth, and profound transformation. A Taurus 8 house may seek stability and trust before opening deeply to transformation. A Scorpio 8th house may experience transformation more intensely and directly. The ninth house is naturally associated with Sagittarius and asks, what is the meaning of life? This house governs philosophy, higher education, spirituality, travel, and the search for wisdom. A Capricorn 9 house may approach spiritual or philosophical questions through discipline and practical experience. A Pisces 9th house may seek meaning through intuition, mysticism, and direct spiritual experience. Together, these houses expand consciousness beyond personal concerns and toward broader understanding. The final quadrant represents the culmination of the journey. Having developed identity, foundations, and relationships, consciousness now seeks to contribute to something greater than itself. The 10th house is naturally associated with Capricorn and asks, what is my role in the world? It governs vocation, career, achievement, and social responsibility. A Leo 10th house may seek leadership, visibility, and creative contribution. A Virgo 10th house may express vocation through service, competence, and practical usefulness. The 11th house is naturally associated with Aquarius and asks, how can I contribute to the collective? It governs groups, friendships, communities, and shared ideals. An Aquarius 11th house may strongly emphasize humanitarian values and social innovation. A Taurus 11th house may seek to create stable, supportive, and enduring communities. The 12th house is naturally associated with Pisces and represents the final stage of the cycle. It symbolizes the dissolution of the boundaries of the personal self and the completion of the cycle of experience, preparing consciousness for the beginning of a new cycle through the first house. It asks, what lies beyond the personal self? This house governs spirituality, introspection, compassion, and transcendence. A Pisces 12th house may naturally seek mystical or spiritual experiences. Or a Capricorn 12th house may approach inner development through discipline, responsibility, and structured spiritual practice. Together, the 12 houses form a symbolic journey from the emerge of the self to the realization of our place within the greater all. The houses also follow rhythms similar to the qualities we studied earlier in lesson 2. Angular houses initiate action and experience. Succedent houses stabilize and develop what has been initiated. Cardant houses promote learning, adaptation, and integration. This pattern repeats through the chart and reflects the cyclical nature of life itself. The houses remind us that life unfolds through a series of experiences that shape our consciousness. From the emerge of the self in the first house to the transcendence of the personal self in the 12th house, the houses describe a symbolic journey of growth and evolution. When we study a birth chart, we are not only observing energies and archetypes, we are observing how those energies unfold through the many dimensions of human experience. Each house represents an opportunity for growth and learning and self discovery. Thank you for watching Lesson 5 of the AstroSG astrology course for the WFYT, the World Federation of Young Theosophists. In our next lesson, we will explore the planetary principles and discover the living forces that move through the signs and houses of the birth chart. Thank you for watching Lesson 5 of the AstroSG astrology course for the WFYT, the World Federation of